Good evening, dear friends.
Good evening, Munjiji.
Good evening to you all. We do understand that it is a special night for you all as you are experiencing the transition of what you call the old year in this night towards the new year. And of course, this brings a lot of further aspiration and intention from your side, isn't it? Which is beautiful to witness as we sing and we witness your light. And what also is, shall we say, traversing the space of your subtle mind. We can see the spark of aspirations coming from you, but also we see those little clouds that are traveling, passing by, and there are always clouds in this human weather, isn't it? You have blue sky, you have clouds, and you have a number of different phenomena like rains and so on and so forth, and beautiful days. So indeed we see in the spark of your aspiration also the things that are holding you back sometimes, not always, but occasionally. There are points that seem to come to meet you again and again that you almost recognize as old friends. These are old obstacles. Well, also tonight, your intention, we do know, because afterwards you will do a small ritual, isn't it, dear friends?
Yes,
where you can let go of all those old clouds. Why do we call them clouds? Because those obstacles that seems to you sometimes so obstinate, so impossible, so unbearable, shall we say, actually from the perspective that we are looking at as rather transient. And you see, when you begin to understand how transient so many difficulties and aspects of your life are, then you can truly relax and you can truly begin to say goodbye to those aspects so that you are inviting them to be separate from you. And it is as if you are then blowing with your breath onto those clouds. So this is what we see when we come together with the aspiration that we ask you to support and sustain, and to also notice from your internal weather, or from the space of your inner being, or from the intellectual dimension, the mental level of your being, those repetitive aspects that are positioning some dissonance with the beautiful music of life that you are. So indeed, with this evening, there can be a sense for each one of you and together, because the power of being together amplifies so much your individual aspiration. There can be the possibility of holding a focus for your orientation wherever you are. Yes, dear friends, it is the correct positioning. Wherever you have chosen in your life, yes, is the set of circumstances that have been built by you, by level of karma that have manifested, and by also a number of what you may call coincidences or synchronicities, and also by choices not always yet being perhaps perfected. So you are working towards perfecting your aspirations, and also you are working in a very dynamic world, and you're existing in a very dynamic manner, which means that although your aim may be to represent the most beautiful song that has ever been sung across the universe, if we can use that metaphor, remember that here you are a wonderful opportunity on the planet Earth to also experiment with life, which means Experimenting means that you're putting together some colors that sometimes don't look harmonious. The balance, it's abandoned. And in order to aim at the highest level of equilibrium, that very equilibrium has to be abandoned, because you are not in a static universe. You are in an evolving universe. You are in a universe that is evolving, but also you are in an inner universe which has the natural tendency of evolve, but also it's in your own hand if you want to evolve, if you want to instead begin to paralyzed aspect of evolution that are naturally offered to you. And although your sense of involution may do you a disservice, in reality it could be that you are simply experimenting with all that is given to you at hand, that also the most difficult problem, the most stubborn situation, the most entrenched position can be molded gradually, can make you subtler, can bring you further understanding of yourself and others. And it is in through this friction that you are truly aspiring to the highest in yourself. It's not through perhaps those times that you find a beautiful equilibrium. Yes, of course there is evolution. That is when you can share collectively more of yourself, where you can give more, but also in time of tension, in time of friction, in time where tears are there, there is a tremendous aspiration from your heart, which is always guided by the light of your soul. So you see, the aspiration of the heart is crucial. The vibrating of the instrument that we call the heart, it's the one that really resonates exactly with all the chords of your being. And sometimes we have to be perhaps a little bit more specific here. Sometimes you do not really know what is your deepest wish or desire. Sometimes you seem to know your deeper wish and desire or aspiration, but you are going just the opposite direction, because often there are unfinished things that takes you in another way. There are unfinished internal conversation that takes you in a different direction. There are unfinished karmic positioning with other individuals that are taking you completely the other way that you had planned. And yet these are the flows of the energy currents that are already established in previous incarnation. But yes, the possibility to readdress that in its own time with the rhythm that is appropriate to what your nervous system can take, your emotional body can take, your mental body can take, will infused by your spiritual body, can begin to readdress and navigate to what it may feel like stormy waters sometimes, and re-establish a fresh positioning, which is called a balance and equilibrium. So in the moment that you find yourself in equilibrium and balance, your highest wisdom flows, and so you can be a greater assistance to yourself and others. When the higher wisdom flows from you, you know that you are gathering a potency that is affecting the world around you. You may not leave your room, and yet you're affecting the circumstances and the environment near you. But you may also operate and feel so dynamic, so when you are in equilibrium, that you can really have courage to step into ground and into position that you have not before confronted, that you have not met, and that you feel ready to meet. So those times of equilibrium are also very, very important. And for all, it is a moment also where the functioning of your higher intellect and the functioning of your heart come into a resonance that is very balanced. balanced. So that's what is called the harmony, and that is all suffused and guided by the light of your soul. So those moments are very precious, but as we say, often they are rather inconspicuous, shall we say. They're not a conspicuous aspect of your life. Yes, dear friend, do not worry. It's natural to cough because there is some energetic shift here as we are talking with you all. So it's all right unless you want a glass of water, but otherwise it's fine. And as you are so gathering all those elements of experiences, you are refining your heart, attending to the exchange that is coming from the soul into the heart to the rest of the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body. So you are truly a beautiful souls that are continuously refining the texture of your being. So if you look at it that way, if you happen to take some positioning that is later on realized as incorrect or confused or uncertain or clearly not right, it is because you are really expanding into that fullness of creating your own beautiful canvas and the colors. So you are enriching that texture of existence, you see, even with what you call your mistake. So in that sense, there is no mistakes. Even through your mistakes, you can enrich the texture of existence. Why? Because perhaps through your mistakes, somebody else will learn not to do the same mistake. The good thing is that you are communicating to one another, you are exchanging the good energies, and also you are exchanging the difficult parts, and also you are exchanging the less positive energies. And so you are learning from one another by the observant aspect of your being, whatever you want to call it, your consciousness, your sense of presence, which is directly linked to your soul, meaning the inner light of your being. You do realize that perhaps some positioning that you have seen are not worth taking anymore. There's some attitudes that you have seen that brings further suffering is what you do not choose because you've seen other people choosing those positioning and you decide to take a different one. So you do influence profoundly one another. And in this new year that is coming for you, indeed it's so relevant to understand how you influence one another, how you are part of this collective, how you are part of this family, collective family. And as you are influencing one another, remember that indeed in this dance of life, your influence plays an important part. None of you is less or more important than somebody else in the eye of the light of being, in the light of souls, in the light of existence. So, indeed, in the light of existence, you're absolutely equal. And that is a great sense of relief when you do understand there is no much to be achieved from the sense of the light of the soul, but there is definitely a sense of becoming more reflective and to understand yourself, especially for the element that you are being gifted with, and always sustaining those elements. There is nothing more that gives a sense of hindrance to your potential when you think that you cannot perhaps do that because you're not so sure you will fulfill that potential. It is your enthusiasm that creates further sparks. Tonight you may hear maybe later on some noises created by sparks. This is the aspiration of people to be full of joy, to be luminous. There will be lights across in the sky night where people will lit lights, and this is all the aspiration to become more luminous, the aspiration to make what you say a bang. It's really the aspiration to transform life existence, one's own individual personal life existence in such a way that is coming out in fullness and with joy. And so again, that is works absolutely together with that sense of responsibility, and that sense of responsibility around what you are thinking, what you are feeling, and how you're acting with one another. You are moving more and more, we said in a number of recent meetings, as a collective being, the one being that is called the human family, and so you influence one another profoundly. And it is as if now you had years of fire and years of water. And although those elements are still together warring and creating a renewal of the earth element and of Mother Earth, and certain amount of imbalances continue, remember that also the orientation for the human family as integration, you are an aerial for what is called the element of sky, the air element. And that means that you are asked to be really positioned like a very precise antenna, like a very precise receiver and transmitter of energy. Wherever you are, this is your responsibility for further and further for these coming years and all for the years to come. Whatever is the weather, internally or externally, whatever are the positioning of the human beings and whatever are the positioning of Mother Earth and the weather around, you are a receiver and a transmitter of energy. So the more and more as you find inspiration through the air element and the ether element, remember to resonate accordingly to the highest note in yourself. That will save a lot of dissonance and differences. It's as if you are, yes, with your feet on the ground, being in appropriate rapport with Mother Earth and with the earth element in you, your body, and how you use of it, but also truly focus on that exchange of subtler energy that are all pervasive and that you are being blessed with. And as you become more and more attuned to the element of sky, of really calling to the energetic stars and sparks of existence, remember that you are beginning more and more to see not with your eyes but with your subtle eyes, that you are more and more hearing not just with your physical ears but with your subtle ears, that you're actually invoking, praying and speaking not just with the words that are coming out through your mouth but through your subtle level of speech, and that you are more and more the subtle being, the full presence, which is infused continuously and nourished by the light of your soul, by your soul itself. So that is what we mean by looking towards sky. That's what we mean by looking towards the stars, which means that actually you are mirroring back your own light to the star, and the stars are there mirroring back their light to you as a reminder of all the journey they have done, all the transformative power that they have brought upon, and their beginning and their end. So remember that this is of course what we call sometimes the human life is an experiment, because you do continue to exist, whatever you will sustain a long physical life or a number of physical existences, but your light continues, your essence continues, and indeed is in that continuing resonating from the physicality of your being and calling upon all the energies of the subtle level of presence to assist you and to assist the world, that you become a witness of the evolution of this human family and the planetary being called the Mother Earth. So indeed you are here now as representative of those grouping of human families that are working towards what is called the evolution. And so you have a personal responsibility and you have a collective responsibility. You have already, we use this word not because we want to give you a further burden with the word responsibility, but because it means simply the possibility to embrace more. Yes, responses has to do with shouldering more more. Of course, it has an association with that word, with shouldering more, but it's actually to be responsive, which means that as you come in this incarnation, each one of you carries a particular background. You carry a certain imprint from the nationality in the country you came from. And so also that travels with you, whatever other country you are in. You also carry the characteristic of all your ancestors. You carry the characteristic of all those when they came from your tree of life. You carry also all the characteristic of all the great beings that you aspire to be like, or that you respect, that you honor, and that you may also perhaps worship. So you see, you are continuously connected with all those streams of life force and existence. So as all those streams of life force and existence are present within you, they're also present day by day, minute by minute in your existence. So you can call upon that communion of relation and uniting more and more with the aspect that you aspire further. So indeed, that is what we say you are as an aerial, as a transmitter, and also as a receiver. But it's truly, it is in your hand how much you wish to call and to aspire to that communion. The communion with your own soul, the communion with your own consciousness, the communion with your own light, but also with all the great beings that you aspire. You also can connect with the spirit of your own country. You can connect with your spirit of the ethnic group or traditional group you belong. You can choose, you see, and you are this vast being all the time. And it's good time in this new year to make a kind of clearer, almost positioning for yourself of valuing all the richness that you have. So because it is again, the flow of this next year will be again a seesaw of events that are sometimes startling, sometimes extremely painful, and sometimes very uplifting. You have to learn to navigate and to stand still as a good aerial in the seesaw of life event. And some of those are also world events. And so we are really encouraging you to hold your ground. But hold the ground not because you have to fear, but to hold the ground because you know your greatness, because you know more and more who you truly are, because you understand your fellow human beings, because your heart is expanding, because your vision is expanding, because your listening is expanding, because your understanding is widening, and because your soul and all the souls of all the human beings and all the beings that you respect and love are coming closer to you, closer and closer. These are time of subtleties. As on one hand things looks to become coarser and coarser, heavier and heavier. On the other hand, on the other side of the spectrum, subtler and subtler input of existence are pouring in. So somebody needs to receive them, and that's why you are gathered here, to receive more and more of this. Not because of our little group together tonight. Actually, it's not so small because there are always other visitors that you don't see with your physical eyes that come and join us, but because we are one little cells in the countless cells of the human family and of the invisible world that are coming together to reunite all the energies and to re-establish for those one of you, like for most of you tonight, it is a new year. Now for all, of course, it is on the human family. They have different calendars and different way of looking at it. But indeed, it's an event for most of you here tonight to really gather that sense of renewal, but especially of sisterhood and brotherhood, of life. So it's not just about even human family, but of life. So if you stand for life, which life it's never ending truly, life it's in the beginning and it's continuing, then you indeed are infusing that life. And so that seed of life existence is seeded again and again and again, and that will transform the ground again of being for all the new generation that are coming. And you may decide in when you will be again from the invisible aspect to return to assist again and again. And so as you have the vista of the evolutionary aspect of where the human family is going, this is assisting. If some of you sometime may see that perhaps there are strong involutionary forces that at time are definitely pulling into a contraction, so that there is fear, so there is a sense of tremendous instability, remember that those are natural parts and parcel of these possibilities. So possibilities are always there, but the individual does not have to be subject completely to those ones. Also does not need to be mesmerized by a general collective feelings of tension, fear and uncertainty. But through your own not knowing, you discover your knowing. Through your own uncertainty, you find eventually your certainty. Through your confusion, you find your clarity. The important thing is that you call for that you make your subtle level of being present to your life. And as you do that, 10 minutes a day, and maybe then 20, maybe become more and more an hour a day, and then your invisible being, so-called, we put it in a nutshell that way, but become more paramount in your day. You have a much better vista of what is truly taking place on the planet, and so that your outer and inner being can reflect and resonate accordingly, so that you know the rhythm of expansion and withdrawal. You know what is truly calling you and what is not truly calling you. So remember that this is the invite for you to be this beautiful transmitter of light and energy, but also to be able to dissipate clouds that are rising within you. Means already you are dissipating clouds for others. You are being an example. So indeed we wish you a good continuation of all the effort that we do know you have put forward for many, many years. The dedication that you have in your heart, all your dear ones from the invisible and all the great beings that are working with you are extremely grateful for all your effort. Remember, you have done enormous effort, not just in this incarnation, but in a number of incarnations, to sustain your positioning, to sustain your light, to sustain your enthusiasm, your creativity, and to sustain in the midst of the suffering that is often naturally part of the experience of this planet. You have been able to endure and sustain an openness to life. And of all these, all the dear ones that are close to you, truly they do know how it is difficult once they really function more and more from the subtle level of being. It is completely much more understood from us, which we are not anymore in the physical body, how difficult it is in the physical, that almost it is for you, dear friends, from the physical level. Because of course you have a number of means of operating that somehow you are becoming used to it. When you are free from that, you see how many mountains you have climbed and how much hard work you have taken, naturally so, on your shoulders. So there is gratefulness, but also you can make good use of all your invisible friends. Remember that. And if you do not feel that specific connection, you have your masters, you have your angelic beings. And even if you do not feel those connections, you have your own light. And that is paramount to all, because light attracts and calls other lights. And it is a great moment of love. It is a great moment of passion that brings life into existence. So remember also to use all your passion and all your interest that you have to fulfill what is most deepest in your heart. So don't do it half-hearted, as it is said. Do it in fullness, because then you set in motion all the angelic beings, all the helpers, all those ones that really wants you to embrace the vastness of who you truly are. So be full of heart in the expansion of existence. So we wish you a good evening, and we know some of you we will talk again and again, and we hope we could be again of assistance to you. But your own light is a beauty to behold. So whenever you feel a little bit discouraged, remember, we are not saying those words just because it is a pleasant evening. It is the truth. Your light is a beauty to behold. Remember that. And so we finish in beauty, in harmony, in joy. And so we hope you have a peaceful and joyous night for you all and for all the days to come. So we'll stop here. All right, dear friend?
Thank you very much, Munjiji.
Thank you. All the best to you all, dear friends. Perhaps we finish with our healing, so we will have Brother White Cloud to come back and do the collective healing, yes?
Yes, thank you.